Let's go to ICC. ICC, God. So the ICC, the International Criminal Court, has basically issued arrest warrants for Netanyahu, the former Minister of Defense of Israel, and the dead military commander of Hamas. Now, they issued it for the dead military commander of Hamas because his death is not being confirmed by Hamas. He could be alive, so they've issued a arrest warrant for them. If Netanyahu travels, even in his capacity as prime minister, to any country that has signed basically the ICC, up to the ICC, he could be arrested. Now, this includes the entire European Union. And indeed, the European Union High Representative for Foreign Affairs has stated that all members of the European Union are obliged to enforce the arrest warrants issued by the ICC. Now, the ICC is an illegitimate, immoral institution to begin with. Even when they prosecute people I think they should prosecute, that should be prosecuted, like Putin. You can't prosecute political leaders of other countries. Not until you defeat them. So, like the Nuremberg trials. But there is no world government, thank God, or thank whatever. There is no world government. There is no world court, or there shouldn't be a world court. There is no world police, military. There is no enforcement mechanism. There is no world legal system. And indeed, I think illegitimate. I think international law, per se, is illegitimate. Treaties are legitimate, but international law is illegitimate. So, here is a court of basically a bunch of European leftists who are bought into the far left agenda, who basically have embraced the idea of Israel committing genocide in Gaza, who are playing high politics in the most complicated, complex regional conflict in the world right now, and basically, you know, making decisions, bringing it to court. You can't bring people to court over a war. Courts are within the state. They're not extra state. They're not above the state. Not above the state. Right? So, it's completely legitimate. It's an example of the attempt of the Europeans to put themselves somehow, above the nation state. And look, there are horrible things that leaders of states do, horrible. And if somebody wants to go in there and, like Saddam Hussein, and kill them, or put them to trial and kill them, then go for it. Again, like the Nuremberg trials. But you cannot do this from the outside. Now, if people sign on to this treaty that is part of the ICC, if countries say, yep, okay, we recognize this court, then fine. But on what basis does it rule? Where is the Constitution? What is the system of law that guides it? And don't tell me the Constitution is the European Constitution, which is a joke. But what Constitution is guiding the laws? And where is the legal system? Where are the laws guiding this court? What are their appeal mechanisms? What is the system? So this is evil through and through. Again, it's an attempt by European leftists to impose their views on everybody else. Everybody else, not through any kind of process of persuasion, not through defense of individual rights, but no, imposing authoritarian ideas on all of us through the courts. And of course, they did this with Putin. Now, Putin's a bad guy, so I'm not going to get too upset. But now they're doing it with the good guys. And there's no limit to this. They could prosecute George W. Bush for going to Iraq. They could prosecute every American general. They could make it impossible for Americans to travel to Europe, or many Americans to travel to Europe, because they could be arrested in Europe. Anyway, they need to be called out on this. Now, I will give, again, we'll see what Trump does about this. But it does look like the Trump administration might, Republicans in Congress might, actually sanction the members of the International Criminal Court. They might force a crisis at the court. And maybe, wouldn't this be amazing if it happened, see if we could see the entire collapse of the International Criminal Court. It would be good to eliminate this completely. In the meantime, Netanyahu and Gallant and cannot travel overseas to many countries. They can come to the United States because the United States is not a signator to the International Criminal Court. But if they travel to a signator country, then they're in trouble. And, Congress can say this is unacceptable because, and Congress should, and Trump should, because this has real consequences for the U.S. If they can get away with this for Israel, they can get away with it with American presidents, defense secretaries, generals, colonels, whatever. They, above the law, above the state, some kind of judiciary, get to dictate all these things.